Welcome to another edition of the Live Well and Fully podcast. Through this podcast, we help women remember that they matter too. We spark new insights on changes they might desire for in their own lives so they can step forward confidently and turn their dreams into reality.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Live Well and Fully. I'm Barbara Decker, and I'm on the East Coast of the United States in Pennsylvania. I'm here today with Christine Oakfield. Christine, where are you hanging out today?
Actually, in Pennsylvania.
Are you? Where?
I am. Outside of Philadelphia.
I'm in the Lehigh Valley.
Okay, I'm in Chester County. So,
son of a gun, we're an hour apart.
So funny. I was like, don't react. I'm timed.
Oh, that's amazing.
It is.
So maybe we'll have to get lunch sometime.
We should.
Yeah. Anyway, Christine is known as Coach Christine to a lot, and she hosts and produces the Your Empty Nest Coach podcast. And as moms with adult children with these diseases, we often find that this is a struggling point. So the title of our interview today is How to Adjust to Transitions in the Empty Nest Years. And I'm going to start the timer, and we're going to have 7 questions in 7 minutes. So, Christine, tell us first, please, who do you serve?
I serve mostly moms, parents adjusting to the empty nest ahead who are freaking out about it. I try to catch them before they enter the years so that by the time the transition happens, they're feeling good and there's less pressure off of everyone.
That's great. What is unique and special about your approach when you encounter things like diseases like addiction and mental illness, Christine?
I think I have no problem with it. I think it's part of life. So when people mention things, you'll have parents come to you and be like, I don't want to tell you this thing. And like, it's all okay. This is what your life is, and you can handle it and we can move on. And my job is to remind them how amazing they are and to hold space for them as they navigate it.
Oh, I think about that exactly the same way.
Mm-hmm.
And I find it helps if they can actually believe the fact, which is it is a disease. And if they can think about it like they would think of cancer or diabetes.
Yes.
And not with the shame and guilt and embarrassment and stigma.
Absolutely.
Number 3, what one thing makes your approach to the empty nest problem effective?
I think, so I have gone through it. I have a unique backstory where my daughter was 14 and went to college out of state. And that's how I was thrown into it. So I have this weird way of entering it. And I didn't have the friends around me going through it at the same time, which was a curse and a blessing. The blessing was I didn't get to watch someone process it differently for me and think that I was doing it wrong, which I see a lot of times happen. So I kind of embarked on this adventure and wanted to be okay on the other side. And I really wanted to make sure that she left not worrying about me, which was very easy for me to do. We had homeschooled and she had been with me all the time. We're kind of buddies. So through that, years of self-help and coaching and different programs, I have landed over the past few years my own analogies, and I focus on reminding people how amazing they are, really holding the space for them to process their emotions. And I've landed on helping them to become the Conscious Effective Olympian, or CEO, of their life. And it's so much fun.
Oh, that's amazing. And don't we need that reminder after focusing so much of our energy on our kids, right?
Yes, we pretty much lose our identity. I mean, not everyone, I will say, but for many, it's very easy to lose it.
A large chunk, and I think it's easier, you might see this differently, but I think it's easier for older people to do that because the society had such expectations of women of a certain age to be entirely focused on their family.
I do think that's true. And it's also, the one thing I've noticed is that it's a lot easier to focus on your kids and others than to focus on yourself and process your own stuff out. So it's kind of, in a way, I see it as a defense mechanism sometimes too.
I haven't thought about that, but I think you're right. I'm going to ponder that one. I think that's powerful. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Number 4, what is the most common mistake a family member makes when dealing with a loved one who has a disease like addiction or mental illness or a mind disease?
I mean, it's probably the whole thing is making it about them. I think is it's not their disease and it's not their addiction. I don't know. With mental health, we have a lot of neurodivergency in our family. So as your kids sometimes get diagnosed, you start to realize the similarities in yourself and things like that. So there are things that might come up in your past that you look at differently when you watch your kids go through it, but to figure out how to support them in a way that their whatever they're going through isn't yours. It's not easy, but it's so worth it, because when you can hold the space for yourself and take care of yourself, you show up in a better way for not only yourself, but everyone else, including your kid.
I agree. I couldn't agree more strongly. Thank you.
I like you. Can we hang out all the time?
Yeah, let's do that. What is one tip a listener can use starting now that will help them be more effective when dealing with their loved one?
So going right from the last one, I think it's being patient and kind with yourself, and self-care in 2 ways. I want to say, yes, it's really definitely important to sleep in when you need to sleep and to be sad when you need to be sad and get to the other side of it. But I think what's even more important is to tune into the things that are going on in your mind, the thoughts that you have about yourself in particular. I can only imagine the amount of guilt that goes on when you're dealing with a child who has addiction, and the thoughts that you have that come up about you. If they are something you would not say to a loved one, you should not be saying them to yourself. So giving yourself the grace to, I guess, the patience and time to notice them. And when you notice them, also not go into a spiral where you hate what you're thinking about yourself, but just kind of notice them and be like, oh, I'm curious about that. I think I can have a better thought about myself. And it all starts there, and then it can grow. And by being kind to yourself, you just get to know who you are and take the focus off your kid a little bit.
I agree. I think if people had as much compassion for themselves as they do for everybody else, they'd be better off.
Yes. It's a lot of pressure off their kids too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Number 6, what is one valuable free resource of yours that you'd like people to have?
The easiest thing is my podcast. I have over 150 episodes that are out there, and my podcast has changed over the years, but there's content on all things, including the not so empty nest when the pandemic hit. And that's available wherever you listen to podcasts. It's youremptynestcoach.com. My tagline is "You are amazing." And we'd like to laugh there too.
That's great. And we will post the link right below the podcast, so everybody watching can just click on it.
Great, thanks.
And finally, what should I have asked you that I didn't? And what's the answer to that thing?
I thought about this ahead of time, and I actually want to say, what do I do when my emerging adult or my parent child comes back home and returns home? Because we think about the empty nest, and it's just like life. You have this image of what it's going to be like. You're going to go out and do all the things, and then, reality hits. Sometimes your child's home, it's just college break or multiple college breaks, and sometimes it's a long extended period of time. And the important thing with that I found is that to pause before this happens, if you can. Sometimes you can't, but take the time to pause and realize that the human that's about to move back in with you and you're both totally different humans than you were when they left before. Because it's so easy to fall into all the roles that you had, and you're still treating your 30-year-old like they're 5, which might work, but it also may not work for you. So just taking the time to realize that you're all different, and to pause, evaluate, and communicate everything in a new way, it gives you a chance to kind of get to know them all over again.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And that's a wrap. And so I thank you so much, Christine, for spending this time with us. Your answers are insightful, and they will be impactful to the people who watch this podcast. So I really appreciate it. And to everyone listening, I hope you find a pocket of joy today, because you are so worth it. Bye for now. Talk soon.
If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to be notified when new episodes are released. Then visit www.livewellandfully.com/workshop to experience the Love Another Way framework firsthand.